Who are the Eternals? As in the recent movie from Marvel Studios. I'm not endorsing this movie. I'm not suggesting that you watch it. I've seen it. It's okay. It's not terrible. It's not great. If you want to go ahead and watch it, that's your business. If you don't want to watch it, that's fine too. Right now, I also need to do a spoiler warning, spoiler alert. Who are these Eternals that the movie is talking about? If you know anything about anything, you surely know that the movie is talking about the fallen angels. That's exactly what the movie is talking about. That's what they mean by the Eternals. However, I will dive a little deeper and show you some more details that you might have missed. We have, for example, a short story by a very renowned author from Argentina called Jorge Luis Borges, very famous. I had somebody tell me about this book about 2 years ago, and I didn't even need to read the book. Just from the title itself, I knew what the guy was writing about, and I also knew that he was a Rosicrucian, from the order of the Rosicrucians, just like J.R. Tolkien and just like C.S. Lewis. Turns out I was dead on the money. So you can look at this for yourself. That's for another video. But right now, back to the Eternals, whom a lot of people have written about. They are also spoken of in the Bible. Genesis 6. Genesis 6 right here. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that those daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil at the time. There's a lot here. You could make several videos. There's some things here that grab my attention. You know about the Nephilim. If you don't know, well, now you know. These were the hybrids between the fallen angels, the fallen entities, and the humans. But I want you to ponder that whenever you have some time, and think about the evil that you might be harboring in your own heart right this minute, or in the past, or in the future. And what would it take for you to drive that evil away from your own heart and only stand in goodness, just like Christ Yeshua ordered us to do? His ultimate command was to love each other as much as he had loved us. That's it. If you are not a Christian, fine. If you are an atheist, fine. This video on this channel is not about making you believe anything. I'm just sharing some thoughts and ideas with you. I'm sharing my journey with you and sharing what I found to be the keys to the truth. Not that I've really found them. It's God who, in his divine benevolence, has seen fit to share with me and with you. In Sanskrit, we have this word amara, and that's what immortal means. That's exactly what it means. An undying, immortal amara. The same as eternal, just like in the movie. So the Eternals were the amara. That's a plural. Okay? Those were the fallen angels, the fallen deities. You have right here, deity, Amara, eternal, right here. Amara, a fallen god, deathless. Amarari is an asura, also a fallen angel, enemy of the gods. It also means the number 33 in Sanskrit, being the number of gods that fell down to earth. The Bible tells us it was a third of the angels. Right here, I have an excerpt from the Mahabharata in my video, What Does the Name America Really Mean? And the Mahabharata in page 4, it says the generation of the Devas was 33,333. It's telling you the exact same thing as Genesis 6, as Apocalypse, where a third of the angels fell. And that is also where the name America comes from, because it comes from Amara. Amara plus the suffix ka, Amaraka, means belonging to the Amara. So in essence, we're living in America, which is the place of the fallen ones, the place of the Eternals, the place of the Amara. If you haven't seen this video, I strongly suggest that you watch it. It's a great video, not because I did it, but the content there, you're not going to find it anywhere else on the internet. Let's watch a quick clip from this movie. Again, spoiler warning. What's happening is there's this deity, this celestial being that is born out of the earth and the sea. The Amara or the Eternals are trying to stop it from being born. Now, the problem here is, it's not a problem, but the key to the truth here is that, remember, they hide the truth in plain sight. They also relay themselves through entertainment. A lot of these clues, a lot of this hidden information, occult information, they relay it between themselves, between their ranks, through entertainment, encoded messages, coded secret ciphers. If you have the proper keys, you can decipher or decode these hidden messages. So they are talking about this. You're thinking it's okay, it's fiction, there's this huge giant celestial godlike being born on the earth, and that the fallen angels are trying to stop it from being born. Is that all fiction, or does that sound familiar? At least somewhat familiar. And I'll tell you, it's very familiar. Here they are, using everything they can at their disposal, all their powers, to try and stop the celestial God from being born. They're showing you what their intentions are, what their intentions were, in the guise of helping humanity. They're never helping humanity. All they're doing is helping themselves. Let me tell you a few stories that might sound familiar, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. You might remember from the Bible as well that Pharaoh ordered the babies, the firstborn, to be killed, the baby boys, because he didn't want Moses to be born and dethrone him or free the Hebrews. That's one story right there of the elites in control serving these fallen entities, and they were preventing the birth of a deity, of a God avatar. They also tried to prevent the birth of Christ. Remember, Herod ordered also all the younglings, all the infants, to be massacred, infanticide, a massacre of innocents, the slaughter of babies, and this is horrible. It's in the Bible. These entities and their minions, they've been at this for centuries, for millennia. There's really nothing new under the sun. What they're portraying in this movie, The Eternals, very similar. They're presenting it in a sanitized way with the special effects and this and that and the other, CGI, but it's really something horrible. Same story with Krishna. Kamsa Asura, who was a king there at the time, had over 7 babies killed, trying to stop the birth of Krishna, of Sri Krishna. There was already prophecies there that the 8th son of Devaki would kill him, would dethrone him and kill the demons that were roaming the earth. Probably some of the leftover fallen angels, some of the Nephilim, and still he had her locked up in a prison, in a dungeon. They killed every single baby that was born, but they still couldn't stop him. That's exactly what this movie is talking about. You can read about this. Same story with Moshe, Christ, and Krishna. No, I'm not saying that Moshe was a god, but Christ indeed, he is God, the Almighty. And so is Krishna. They are different God avatars of the ultimate, of the divine, of the Most High, in different times, in different millennia, for different purposes. So the Eternals always try to go after the weakest link. They try, who would you rather go up against? A fully grown God or a God that hasn't been born, or the baby? They always try to go after the mothers, after the babies in the womb, after the babies just before they are born, right after they are born, before they realize their full potential. The good news, though, for us who are in goodness, or who are supposed to be in goodness, people of God, ourselves, for us, the good news is that they never succeed. And it's a story that repeats itself across different cultures, different times, different epochs, and they always lose in the end, and God always wins. Why do they still do it? Why do people lie? Why do people steal? Why do people cheat? Why do people kill? Because, that's their fashion. That's what their soul is about. It's a wicked soul. If everybody had perfect vision of God, you might always do good. But even these fallen entities who were so close to God at one point decided, craved more power, just lusted after human flesh and divine power. They wanted the best of both worlds, and they ended up with nothing but darkness. There's very interesting parallels here between what they're trying to accomplish in the movie. They're trying to stop God from being born. And you might be thinking, well, keys to the truth, you're seeing stuff that's not there, you're correlating stuff that, it's not related, you're imagining stuff. Am I? Here, well, let's look at a different movie. Listen closely, please. This is from Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, Alan Greer. And you might say that it's a lot of disinformation. It's talking about UFOs, close encounters. It's all nonsense. But he is sprinkling lots of pieces of information, golden nuggets in your search for truth. And you have to be ready to find these golden nuggets. It's just like when you're prospecting for gold. You have that pan in the water, and you're moving it around and trying to screen through, the sand and the gravel and what have you in the water, and you're trying to find the little pieces of gold, and you might find them. It's the same thing here in the media and the entertainment and in the texts, new texts, old texts. You have to sift through the material. You can't just dismiss everything as being fake, although most of it will be. They will try to hide the truth here and there, so again, they can transmit it between themselves, to their nephews, to their relatives, to whoever is in the know, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear. So it's not like, there's a river, there's a stream, and you have gravel, you have sand, and you're just gonna, I'm not gonna look for gold there because there's so much sand there. Well, you might find some pieces there. Just have to know the keys. Listen, please, closely to this.
General Saul! Some years ago, I had a meeting with the Crown Prince of Liechtenstein, Hans Adam von Liechtenstein. He had reached out to me through some of his contacts. He said, look, Dr. Greer, we have to meet, but we can't talk about this on the phone. Your efforts to effect disclosure are noble, but they will not be able to be permitted, and not for the reasons you think.
Right there, not for the reasons you think. And then comes the really amazing part. Look at this. This is completely unrelated to the movie, but he still gets away with it. Listen, please.
So this is interesting. Finally, we got together in New York City in July of 1994. He said to me, in 1989, a group of us were trying to do disclosure, and it involved Gorbachev, President Bush Sr., himself, and the UN Secretary General Perez de Cuellar. And in the course of us putting together the high-level planning meetings to do this, Perez de Cuellar, the UN Secretary General, was abducted out of his limousine in Manhattan.
Yeah, and if you remember, Bush Sr. also got a bullet. He took a bullet for playing his role in this. Maybe it was faked, maybe it wasn't, but after hearing this and seeing this piece of information, I would say it was real.
And he was told by the aliens that if they did not cease and desist from their plans to disclose this information, that every world leader involved, including the President of the United States, would be abducted. This blew up like an atomic bomb in the Bush White House, and it did not go forward. I said, okay, well, tell me more. He says, well, we've concluded that we have to prepare the public for an interplanetary war. And in doing so, we can then also force the return of Christ. And I'm quoting.
Force the return of Christ? What on earth are they talking about? I saw this a few years ago, and it's been rattling, in my mind ever since then. And then it clicked when I put the pieces together with this new movie from Marvel, The Eternals. So what we're playing here, guys, is with the keys is a giant, huge, multi-dimensional game of memory cards. So you find one piece of information here, and then you just let it sit in your memory for years, and then you find another piece of the puzzle, and then you can put them all together. Listen to that again. It's pretty amazing.
That we have to prepare the public for an interplanetary war. And in doing so, we can then also force the return of Christ. I'm quoting. And I just listened. He didn't know that I knew that the means for that abduction for Paris to Cuellar were run by a counterintelligence unit out of the national security state.
So that's pretty crazy right there. That's pretty intense. And if you don't know what's going on, you might dismiss this because the movie is completely not about that. Now let's skip ahead, and then I'll tell you what's going on here. Let's skip ahead over to here. Now he's going to talk about the close encounters themselves, but he's going to mention that character Liechtenstein, sorry.
It's just off the edge of the hill, and you see people turning to look. And it was this object that materialized into this dimension and lit up and then dematerialized. What I saw in my remote view was a very large craft filled with ETs from different civilizations that were joining us in the meditation. Because that's what they're interested in. They're interested if you have a pure heart, a clear intent, and you're wanting to join them in universal peace. That's it. They don't care about your degrees. They don't care about... This is what the Prince of Liechtenstein said. I've gone all over the world where these UFOs are seen. They're seen before I'm there and after, but when I'm there, they're not around. Maybe it's my attitude. I said, bingo. Every experience that can
That's pretty intense. So he mentioned Liechtenstein in the movie. And who is this character, Liechtenstein? Well, we know it's a country, right? And what does Liechtenstein mean? Let's take a look. Let's dig deeper. All right? It's one of the smallest countries. It's in between Switzerland and Austria. What is the net worth of the King of Liechtenstein? It's said to be between 4 and 7 billion. Wow. That's a pretty penny. And that's just what they're telling you. They're not going to declare the whole wealth. As far as GDP goes, Liechtenstein has the second highest per capita GDP in the world. Wow, that's pretty astounding. That's pretty impressive. And also where it's located, it's quite telling. It's right in the middle of Europe. That's very interesting. Hans Adam, I don't know the guy. He might be a great guy. I have no idea. I'm just telling you what showing you what this other guy said in the movie, and we're relating that to this movie, The Eternals. Everything seems pretty odd, but how powerful would you have to be to have your own country named after you? Does the Queen of England have her own country named after herself? No. Is she in the middle of Europe? No. She's the royal family, British royal family, which are related, of course, to Liechtenstein. But they're the odd neighbors. They're the crazy uncles. They're the ones that are out there in a secluded island far away. But Liechtenstein is right next to Switzerland, right next to Austria, the seat of power, the very middle. And, a quick look at the net worth, and you'll see who's who, and the flag, not to mention the flag. If you see the flag of Liechtenstein, it's got a crown on it. Do you see a crown on the flag of the UK? It's got the blue on top of the red. Blue meaning the blue bloods, the royalty ruling over on top of the regular humans, the peons. At the bottom, it's got a floating golden crown, top left, in the blue. It's pretty much telling us right there who's who. As far as the hierarchy inside within the monarchy, this is where I would put my money. This is where I would bet. Who has the lower profile? The royalty of the British crown or Liechtenstein? You can barely find anything on Liechtenstein. There is some stuff to be found. And also his name is telling us quite a bit of the story that we need to know. Europe's richest royals, Prince Hans Adam, over 7 billion. And that's just what's on the books. Way more than Monaco, way more than the UK. I think the Pope was his godfather. Liechtenstein, right here, German speaking. Remember, the British royalty also comes from Germanic origins. German is very closely related to Sanskrit. Very closely related to Sanskrit. As you can see, they're in the middle. As you would expect the king to be in the middle, surrounded by his serfs. Okay, out here in the island, you wouldn't expect the real king to be. You would expect them to be somewhere here in the middle, which they are. And I also have a lot of evidence showing that the Europeans come originally from the Himalaya. I'll show that in a different video. The Himalaya, which might have been the nesting place, the birthing ground of human civilization. And then they migrated over to Europe. A new beginning. That's what Europa means in Sanskrit. A new beginning. And they looked for the mountains in Switzerland, the high ground. You control the high ground. And you have the Pope right next door, whom is your godfather. And you control him as well. Licht means light auf Deutsch. Stein bedeutet stone, auf Deutsch. So, Liechtenstein means a light stone. The Light Stone Group in the US is one of the largest corporations. Founded 33 years ago, coincidence? And it's owned by David Liechtenstein, probably a nephew or somebody related to the real king of Liechtenstein. They own pretty much a lot of real estate. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. So over $8 billion worth of prime real estate. They own extended stay hotels and a bunch of stuff. So there you see it. What is also a light stone, if not a diamond? A diamond is a stone of sorts, a rock of sorts, a gem, a crystal, a magic crystal. And actually diamonds have very magical properties, which I will tell you in another video. So a stone of light would be a diamond. Again, who's the king? Who is the light bearer? That's the name they give to their fallen entity, to one of these Amaras. And they worship these entities. They worship them. Like you have, if you've been to Rockefeller Center, which I have been there several times, in the Art Deco, you will see lots of pictures of the fallen deities. Here you have the angels flying off from heaven, allegedly teaching mankind all that it knows, which is false, which is completely bogus. And then they were cast down and punished for that sin, for teaching mankind too much by Hashem. Hashem is one of the names of the Creator in Hebrew. And if you watch the movie The Eternals, they refer to the Creator as Arishem. And Ari means hostile, enemy in Sanskrit. So To them, the Creator is a hostile God, and the fallen angels are good, and then they teach you stuff, but they're still punished for their transgression. I don't believe that for a second, but David Rockefeller, the Rockefellers, worship them. So this is one thing I ask atheists and other sorts of non-believers whenever I talk to them in person. I ask them the following: who has more? You don't need to believe in Christ as far as I'm concerned. You can believe anything you want. But just use your rationale and your logic. Who has access to more information? You or the head of the CIA? Just that. Well, the answer is obvious, the head of the CIA. Now, who has more access to information? The President of the US or you? It's as simple as that. And then who has more access to information? The Rockefeller family or you? You see, if all the intelligence agencies and NASA and NOAA and every kind of agency you can imagine is reporting directly to them, all sorts of intelligence, all sorts of intel, historical, archaeological, geographical, they have access to the pilots that have gone everywhere, to the submariners that have gone everywhere, to the archaeological findings, to the, every sort of stuff, written text, everything and anything that is available to humans. These people have access to it. So, and they believe, even if it's false or true, that's not the question here. They believe in the fallen angels. They have these murals at Rockefeller Center and the statues worshiping them. Okay? The Prometheus is also in the movie, and he's also a fallen entity that was trying to, provide the humans with the knowledge of the gods, or, the magic of the gods, or the divine fire. So they worship them, they believe in them, they have way more access to intelligence and information than you and I. So, and so does Liechtenstein and the monarchies and the real rulers behind, Klaus Scheisse. Who do you think is behind Klaus Scheisse? It's these people right here. Then the real question becomes, why do they believe what they believe? Because they have a lot of access to information. And then they're telling you that they're trying to prevent the birth of Christ, or that they're trying to speed it up. They're trying to bring it around to their own timeline. In the movie, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to prevent the celestial being from being born, who to them is evil, because, they are evil. A good, benign, benevolent deity being born in material physical form would destroy the world as they know it. But it wouldn't destroy your world or mine if you're a good person, right? So everything's upside down. Everything's a game of opposites, polar opposites here. This is all very interesting. I hope you find it as interesting as I do. Be sure to share this information. Make sure you like it, subscribe. If you find it in your heart to support, all the time that goes into this research. For example, I had to purchase that movie with the Fifth Encounters. It's just things I like to do, and I do it for myself and for my family and friends. I share it with them. But God compelled me. Hey, you need to share it with the world. So I'm doing that. So I have a Patreon as well, Keys to the Truth. If you find it in your heart to support, that'd be great. If you don't, that's fine. As long as you're sharing this material, downloading it, copying it. So again, a lot of what's going on in the world right now, and I can't say too many details, is related to this. They want to taint the human element with some artificial stuff so that you're no longer 100% human. And a God avatar needs 100% human to be born. That's why they go out of their way and look for the tribes out in the middle of nowhere and try to, stab them. Like they're trying to stab the whole population right now, killing thousands or even millions. But it's not just about the killing. That's very simple. They could do that in another very other ways. It's all about Genesis 6 and Enoch. I'm not putting some references to the book of Enoch here, but the book of Enoch, that's all he talks about, the fallen deities. So you can read the book of Enoch as well. And so what they did there with fornicating with the human females is they knew full well what they were doing. It wasn't just a lust for sexual appetite or lust for power or lust for the flesh. It was also because they were trying to seal the gates so that a God avatar couldn't be born, because they know that happens. They know it's true. It's what I'm trying to tell you. Even if you're not a Christian, Christ was in fact real. God avatars are real. Krishna did in fact come to life, in the flesh, and he had supernatural powers just like Christ. So did Rama, and there's other God avatars, and the next God avatar, which we call the second coming of Christ, is referred to in the Puranas as Kalki Avatar, and they're trying to prevent Kalki Avatar from being born. He's supposed to be born in a remote place called magical place called Shambhala. And it's a lot of interesting things. I will do a video on that later. I have that Purana, I have that book. I'm lucky enough to have it. I just need to do the real translation in Sanskrit. But the point of fact here is they're trying to taint the human element so that a God avatar cannot be born. Because a God avatar can only be born, Christ can only be born of 100% pure human being. So that's why they do what they do. If they wanted to kill us, they have other ways of doing that. They're trying to take the element, just like they tried to do with fornication in Genesis 6. Now they're trying to do it by stabbing you. And you know what I'm referring to. So please watch the comments. Don't put any of the catchphrases there or the catchwords so they don't give us a hard time, you and I. But anyway, guys, I hope you like this video. Very thought-provoking, if you ask me. What they're trying to do, what this is really about. They're trying to change the timelines. They're trying to prevent God from coming back in the flesh and destroying them, changing the world. And, the good news is that they never succeed. It's like trying to stop the waves of the ocean. It's like trying to stop the sun from rising every day. It's impossible. It's something that is way beyond their power. No matter what they do, they will never succeed. So you can rest assured and, let go of the angst, let go of the fear, just stay calm, raise your energy levels, be aware, but have an awareness in goodness. And in Christ, in the Almighty, I pray for you that you are protected, that you're full of happiness, that you're radiant, full of God's light, forever and ever.